Good morning, parents, and we welcome you all to another webinar session conducted by Dlearners on the topic of proactive parenting. And this week we have Mrs Nalini Zinu, ma'am, who's an early childhood educator, a child psychologist, and a parent coach. So she's also a right brain education expert who has coached more than 1,500 plus parents to implement RBE at home. As a parent coach, she educates and empowers and parents to be mindful of their own emotions and be responsive to their child's needs. She's also featured in the Kungumam Tori magazine, a leading Tamil magazine. She's also featured in Malaysia-based digital magazine, Alchemy magazine. She's been awarded as the Best Educator 2022 and also the Inspiring Women in the World Women Icon 2022. It's an honor to have you today, ma'am. And on besides of all the parents and from the Dlearners team, we welcome you all and we welcome all the parents. And without further ado, I'd like to give the mic to you so that you can give us all your gyan and help us nurture our child in a good behavior.
Thank you so much, Abhilash, for having me. It's definitely an honor to be a part of Dlearners, the amazing cause. When you approached me for the session, when I was hearing about your company, your organization, I was so impressed, and which is very, very needed for this hour. So that is the reason why I actually agreed to do this session with you. And of course, thank you so much for having this particular topic today, the effects of positive parenting in the child's behavior, because children are the future leaders. So whatever we are going to do right now is what we're going to see in another 20 years. So thank you so much for having this topic, and thank you everybody for joining in. I'm sure how busy the weekends will be, and thank you so much for joining in. I'm sure that you will be having something to take away from this masterclass. So let's first talk about, before we pitch into what is positive parenting, let us first analyze or understand how the traditional parenting has been happening all these years. Okay, so when parenting is all about, years we have been doing this as parenting. Like, I am your parent, you are my kid, I am the elder, I have world experience, I have these many years of experience, I have 20 years, 25 years of world experience, I know what's wrong, what's harmful, what's good, I always there to protect you, I want to protect you from everything. So whatever I say, you listen to me, whatever I say, you have to obey to me. So this is the mentality of the parents all these years, right? So I am the biggest person, I am the your old person, you are a very, very small kid, you don't understand anything whatever I'm saying. Even if I'm explaining, you won't understand, or you won't understand the world's reality. So I am here to protect you, whatever I'm doing for you is only for your good, so you have to obey me. So this is the traditional parenting. And what happens if the child doesn't listen or doesn't obey the parent? The parents didn't know how to proceed or how to approach the child. The parent immediately got an attack that their parenting style is being attacked, or their parenting is being judged by other people. So what they do is they give punishments, they yell at the child, they shout at the child, and this is what used to be happening in every household when we were all brought up, right? So what happens when the parent keeps yelling, shouting at their kids every day? They become more angry, they become more frustrated, and end of the day, they all will feel guilty for always shouting at the child, for always yelling at the child. The connection is missing, so always they feel guilty, right? What happens in the child's perspective? Okay, the child is trying to obey everything, but the child cannot obey or listen every time, especially when it's always being shouted or yelled or punished. They also feel disconnected from the parent, and they will also feel frustrated, they will also feel angry, and they may continue to misbehave. Whatever behavior is they are doing, they might not be able to change it, but they might maybe hide it from the parents and do the same. Okay, so this has been the traditional parenting way, but this is something very hard, right? When we were all like children, we were all brought up this way. Most of us were brought up this way, and we still carry those childhood traumas. So years of studies about mental health and parenting has been evolving every single day, and all of that is contributing to the result of mental trauma, the childhood trauma that we carry towards our adulthood. So even in one of my sessions, I used to identify parenting triggers and managing parenting triggers, in which I used to talk about how your yearly experiences, your past experiences affect the way how you parent now. The impact that the past experiences you might be having is impacting your actions with your child. When your child is doing something, when you are yelling, shouting, when you don't know what to do, you feel powerless, you feel helpless, all of these are triggered by your past experiences. So how that past experience is coming up is because of the parenting that was done earlier. We are not at all complaining any of the parenting strategies that our parents did or our grandparents did, but there should be another way so that you feel better in communicating with the child, you feel connected with your child, because we all want our child to cooperate with us, right? Every parent, what they want their child to cooperate with them. Whatever they want to do, I mean, they want the child to do, we want the child to do whatever we ask to do, or because we all think good for the child, right? So we all want our child to cooperate. But when we look from the child's perspective, all that the child needs is connection with the parent. The child is doing everything for connection. Parents used to say, my child is hitting me for attention. My child is actually screaming for attention. She is doing all these things just to grab my attention, right? So can we see that in a different way? They are not doing all of this to grab your attention, but they are actually seeking connection with you. So all that the parent wants from the child is cooperation. All that the child wants from the parent is connection. So how does that even meet? How these two ends will meet? Through a communication, a positive communication. So when you start communicating with your child in a positive way, your child will feel connected. You will find your child to always being cooperative with you. Now, this is called positive parenting. So positive parenting is an empathy-based parenting approach where you show empathy to your child, where you feel that your child's emotions are valid, where you validate your child's emotions and feelings. You make your child feel that they are being heard. That is what we all need. We don't need somebody to give us solutions all the time. We all want somebody to hear our problems. Somebody hearing our problems without any judgments itself is like a win for us, even for us right even now. The same applies for the child also. The child wants a connection and the child wants to feel heard. So how do we communicate to the child matters a lot. So that is when positive parenting comes into picture. It is an encouraging behavior of the parents where they encourage children's positive behaviors. Whatever good behaviors that the child is doing, we will catch that and we will acknowledge it, instead of complaining about the negative behaviors. So what parents usually do, we always do like, my child is not sitting in one place, my child is always running, my child is not doing any activity, my child is not at all studying anything. So these are the complaints that we will be having for our children. Whenever somebody asks, like even if somebody else praised your child, oh wow, your child is doing an amazing thing, immediately, oh, you may be seeing only this for now, but the entire day I'm seeing him, he's not sitting in one place, he's always hitting me, he's always seeking my attention. So what we do, we always pinpoint what are all the negative parts of the child. But what we are actually able to point out the checklist of all the good behaviors of the child. My child is actually sharing his toy. My child is actually woke up on time. I asked him to wake up early today and he woke up on time. He had his breakfast. He took this tumbler and put it in the sink. So these kind of small good behaviors is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about achieving records, identifying flashcards, reading a book, completing an activity. No, just the small things that your child do every day. When you start acknowledging those feelings and when you start talking about it to your child feels so proud, and that is when your child's good behavior start to cultivate more. So for example, if you are planting a tree, your job is like a gardener. You being like a gardener, what you do, you have to you have to sow the seed properly, you have to water the plant properly, you have to make sure that the plant is getting adequate sunlight and all the environment that is necessary to nurture the plant. So all that you do as a gardener is to nurture the plant. How much ever you nurture, that the plant will also grow accordingly. Similar to that, parenting is also like that. As a parent, our role is to nurture our child by taking care of their needs, by actually validating their problems or issues, or having an open conversation with whatever they have in all the stages of their life. Right? So we don't actually shout or yell at the child when the child is doing something. Instead, we take a moment, we take a pause, we will understand what the child is going through. So suppose when your child is having a tantrum, okay? So your toddlers usually have tantrums after 18 months. You might be seeing that your toddler is actually, they are not verbal yet, they are not able to communicate effectively yet. But what they do is they will just scream, they will roll around on the floor and they will cry. What we do immediately, we will be thinking, oh my God, my daughter is acting out, my daughter is doing like this is going to be the behavior for life, she's going to be adamant like this, she's going to behave like this forever, so I'm going to control her. What do? You shout, you yell, you ask them to stop, but nothing will work. Okay, nothing will work, and then you end up feeling like a failure. Parenting itself has become a failure. That is how you feel when something like that happens. But when we stop the process of all the information that is going on in your mind, which is being impacted by your triggers, and you stop and analyze why it is happening. My child wants to communicate something. There is something that my child is actually wants to communicate with me, and that is why this behavior is happening. When you understand that for a moment, you will stop reacting to that situation. Instead, you will respond to the situation. So there is a difference between reacting to the situation and responding to the situation. Okay. So reacting is immediate. So when someone hits me, I will immediately react. Okay. That is a reaction. But when my child cries, hey, stop crying, don't cry. If I'm saying that, I'm not going to stop the child to cry. The child will cry even more because something is hard for them. That is why they are crying. They want you to hear you. Okay, so what they do, they will cry in even more high pitch so that you will hear. But what we do, hey, don't cry, nothing is wrong, it's all okay, don't cry. Why are you crying for this simple matter? It's so simple for parents as adults to see the child, but from the child's perspective, it is something very big that is happening for them, which is very big for them to process, and which is very big for them to handle, and they seek your support for help. Okay, so what happens when what you do, you just stop reacting in the way that you react, and you stop and analyze, oh, my child is having a hard time. You tell it to the child, you tell it loud to the child, I can see you're very upset, I see that you're very upset because of that, I understand, it's so hard. Just these 2 lines will make your child to calm down. That is how you raise calm kids. Okay, so when the child feels heard, instead of saying don't cry, it's something so simple that happened, it means that the child's feelings are not being validated, and they are undergoing a lot of difference of things. Like I am feeling this way, my mom is telling in a different way, which one I should believe? Even though I want to believe my mom, my sensory perceptions is not giving me the right signals, it's giving me a different signal, I want to cry. When you validate the child's feeling by saying, I see you're upset, it's very hard for you. You're not giving them solutions, you're not giving them any, saying that this is small, this is simple. But the child will feel heard, and they will immediately stop crying, and they will listen to you, because the next step is for them, they are looking at you for help. So that is when you provide choices and all that. Right? So if you want your child to listen to you, first you have to go to their level, go to their eye level, and you have to validate their feelings. So that is what we do in positive parenting. We encourage the child's good behaviors, and we validate the child emotions, whatever it is, whether they are happy, whether they are frustrated, whether they are restless, whether they are angry, whether they are sad or upset or worried, whatever it is, we validate their feelings, and then we will analyze what to do. So that we call as problem solving. So in positive parenting, we don't feel parent and the child as opposite team members. So usually in parenting, what we do is we will like, I want this, I want you to do this, and my child will be like, why I should do this? Because you tell me. You keep saying, I want you to do this, I want you to, this is something that you have to, for example, brushing teeth. Okay, brushing teeth is something very, very important, very essential for everyday hygienic. We have to brush our teeth. When we say you have to brush your teeth, you have to brush your teeth, we have to brush your teeth. What happens when we keep telling that? My child will feel like, why I should do, because you are telling. You are a big person, so you tell I have to do. So those kind of things that will happen for anybody. So what if somebody else keeps telling us this every single day? At some point we will not listen to them. Why should I do? That question will arise, right? So we consider them ourselves as two different teams fighting over a thing. But what if we both are in the same team, right? So parenting is a partnership. This is what I usually say. Parenting is not competition, okay? It is compassion, and parenting is like a partnership where you have to collaboratively work together. So when will you be able to collaboratively work together is when you both have the good connection. So how do you get that connection? Through positive communication. Okay, so it is like fulfilling the child's emotional needs by focusing on the child's positivities instead of focusing on the negativities. So let me tell you there are a lot of benefits in positive parenting, but I'll give you some things where you can actually apply the positive parenting strategies in your everyday life to have a better connection with your child and also to make your parenting very easy and breezy. Okay, so the first one is to give the child, nurturing the child with physical attention. The child needs physical attention. Children, not just children, even adults, if we are left alone in a room for 5 days, 10 days, what we will be doing, what we will be feeling? We will be feeling very hard without the human interaction, without the connection with the world, with other people, right? Because humans are made as such. We all need connection from outer environment. We all are being connected with each other in this world, right? Let me rephrase it, like someone is putting you inside the room without mobile, without any human interaction, without any Wi-Fi connection and all that, okay? So you are left alone. How do you feel? It makes you more frustrated and stressed. Similarly, children needs physical attention in another level because the children's brain is still developing. Until 6 years of age, the brain, especially or the logical part of the brain is still developing, which makes very hard for the child to make any decision. So how the child observing the environment, right, how they are telling you their needs, how it is being responded, how it is being taken care, all of this being observed by the child, and that is what the brain is processing, and that is what the brain is taking away with them as a development. So however the child is going to behave in the future is all dependent on however they were treated in the early years. So when your toddler, 18 months toddler, if they are screaming for something, it means that they need an attention. Okay, so they need an attention from the adult, a loving connection with the adult. So when you treat them with connection and communication, the child's brain is actually, oh, okay, so this is how you react to such situation. But what if you are angrily responding to the child? If you're yelling or shouting, the child might be thinking that, oh, if I am feeling hard, somebody is shouting at me. So if somebody else feels hard, I should also shout at them. So that is what they are going to build up. So we all want our child to develop empathy, right? We all want our child to be very empathetic with others. We all want our child to be very kind with others. So why don't we do that with our child so that the child will observe and learn it? You can't teach all these stuff. You can never teach all these stuff. You can't teach empathy to child. You can't teach kindness to your child. All that we can do is we can model it. We can model it so that the child is observing every single thing and they are being influenced by your actions. They are being influenced about whatever you're doing, however you speak, the body language, everything is being observed by the child, and that is what the child's brain is also immersing in, and that is what the child is also going to develop in the future. Okay, so physical attention is very much required. So we used to have some no distraction time, at least for 10 minutes every day. so that the child and the parent will feel more connected. So how you can do it, you can be the busiest parent, okay? You can be the busiest parent, you can be having a lot of works. Of course, parents are the busiest person in the world. So you can give away a 10 minutes of time for your child, for where you don't have your mobiles, where you don't have any other distractions. You just have time with the child. It's like it's me and the baby time. Nobody should disturb us in this time. So in that time, you can talk to your child, you can read to your child, you can just let your child lead you. Okay, instead of giving them, you can do this, you can do that. You can ask them for choices. You can ask them, okay, this is our time. Nobody is going to disturb us now. So we are going to have our time now. So whatever you want to do, let's do it. We can talk, we can read, we can play, we can color, we can do whatever we want. So when you are physically present for the child, even from infancy, I mean, okay, for infants, parents are always there with them, but still for toddlers, especially for children above 2 years, that is when the child wants to go independent, but still they are not feeling independent. You might be feeling that 24/7 I'm with my baby, I still feel disconnected. So if you have that feel, do this for 10 minutes every day, you will feel more connected. Your child will feel more connected. You might not having that attention seeking behaviors every day. You will definitely have, the child will feel connected, and the child's emotional needs are met. Okay, so that you can do. And then positive parenting doesn't mean permissive parenting. There are two different things. Permissive parenting is like you are letting your child to do whatever they want to do. It is not so. There are some harmful things which we have to intervene as an adult. Only adults can protect our children from those kind of harmfulness. For example, if there is a sharp object, okay, my child, I am using scissors, I just keep it there. My child wants to grab the scissors. Okay, I can't let my child to grab the scissors and play with it. Can I do that? No. I cannot shout and yell or grab it from them, because it gives them more curious. They become more curious, and they will want to try it more. And if you punish the child for doing so, what the child will do? They might be doing it away from you, not in the presence of you. They are still curious. Children are the curious minds. Okay, you can't stop your child's imagination. You can't stop your child's curiosity to do things. Okay, so when you punish a child because they don't listen to you, what they will do? They will, whenever they find it, they will do it in a place which is away from you and not in front of you. So what is the better way to do that? To set clear limits and boundaries. Okay, so suppose if the child is playing with a sharp object, I say, I can see that you want to play with this, but look at that, it's very sharp, it might hurt you, and it's safe to keep it here. So those kind of communication will help. And also you can teach your child, use this opportunity as a learning opportunity, and you can tell that this area of the scissor is very sharp. See, look at this, it's very sharp. Now you can hold here. This is the place where we supposed to hold. Even Amma can't hold the sharp edge. It might prick my finger. Blood will come. So I don't want to hurt myself. I always use this place to hold the scissor. So when you model it that way, the child is understanding the fact. Why you are saying no is being understood. So most of the times what happens is parents think that my child won't understand anything. Why I should explain all of this to my child? My child is not going to understand anything. No, your child understands every single thing that you talk, even from infancy, even from pregnancy. Okay, so that's why from infancy, I would suggest to talk with facts. Okay, suppose if the milk is very hot in the cup, if the child wants to go and grab it, immediately what people say is, hey, don't touch that. But all that the child wants to do is to touch it. Right? So if you keep saying don't touch, the child is more curious to touch it and see it. But when you tell them why they should not touch it, that makes sense, right? If somebody tells me, no, don't see that, we might all have encountered this when we are in a group of friends, and if somebody is pointing out to someone, the first thing that the person used to say, hey, I'm going to talk about the one person, don't look at the yellow dress, okay? When I'm starting to say this itself, everybody will go in search for the yellow dress, and we all will look at it. I am telling you not to look at them, but you are looking at them. So it is the human behavior. It is a natural human behavior to look at the person or do whatever is not said not to do. Okay. So instead of saying don't do it, we can say what we want them to do. Children don't have that processing mind yet. They don't able to process the information yet. So if I should not touch this, what I should do is a question that appears. And what we keep saying the child is don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. So what we are actually implying is all that the child hears is touch, touch, touch. They might not hear the don't because they are looking for things to do. And when you keep saying don't touch, don't touch, don't touch, the meaning of don't is not going into their mind. All that they hear is touch, touch, touch. So what we can say is what we want the child to do. For example, if your child is actually throwing a mobile phone, okay, mobile phone is very costly. You can't let your child to actually throw your mobile phone. So what you can do, hey, don't throw the mobile phone, don't throw the mobile phone will not help you. It will only make the child to throw it even more to see your reaction, okay? So what you can do is you can say, mobile phone is not for throwing. You can use the ball to throw. Use this ball to throw. Give them options, give them things which are allowed to do that. So this is not for throwing, this is for throwing. You can throw this. You can use the ball to throw. So when you are giving them specific instructions of what is desired, excuse me, what's desired behavior of the child will catch it, and also giving them options which are allowed to do. So that is what we do, and we do set clear boundaries and limits, and we used to hold the boundaries. That is why it is very, very important to know where I should set boundaries and where I should not set boundaries, right? There are some non-negotiable things like touching a sharp object, playing with electric socket, going out in the sun mid of the day. It's all non-negotiable things. We can't allow the child to do it, and we don't want the child to do it out of curiosity also. So, I don't know what happened at my home. Okay. Sorry, I was distracted. Because of my child crying in the background, I get distracted. Yeah. So we have some non-negotiable limits that we have to set, non-negotiable boundaries that we have to set. But there are few things which we can actually let them do. Okay, for the whole day, what we do is we keep saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't touch that, do this, eat this food. So all these kind of things. What happens? The child feels powerless. I am living in this family. I am living here, but I'm not able to take any decision. So what if anybody is controlling you from morning to night? How you feel? You will not feel good, right? You will be always feeling like somebody is always being controlling me. So what I was telling is, so there are some non-negotiable limits that we have to hold on, and there are some where we can actually let the child choose. So for example, if the child is having every day after bath, we can give the child the choices of choosing their own dresses. If we can give them choices to choose their plates, to give them choices to choose their cup. So these kind of small choices when we give for the child throughout the day, it makes them feel having that power. Okay, instead of, so we have some so when you are allowing the child to make the choices at the times where they are allowed, and it makes them feel, oh, I am being respected, I am having the power, I am having the privilege to choose of this. So when that happens, the other times when the non-negotiable things are happening, so those moments the child will not show much of a power struggle. They won't do a power struggle, and they will understand that these are happening. Okay, and holding on to the boundaries is another big topic, like but positive parenting has clear limits, and it's applicable to all the family members also. Before you set a limit to the child, it's advisable to sit and discuss as a family to hold what are all the limits that we can, so that we adults can be in one phase, so that we don't confuse the child. So at least the partners should be in sync with the limits that they set. For example, the screen time, for example, the tantrums, during a tantrums, what to do. So those kind of things, I always suggest the partners to be in sync, so that the child will, behavior will be will not be affected. Okay, so and the next one is the positive parenting is all about staying calm during the storm. So when your child is crying out of tantrum, the child is crying that they want to do something which doesn't which is actually not good for them. For example, if the child has already eaten a lot of biscuits today, a lot of chocolates today, and still the child wants to eat more chocolate, we can't keep giving them again and again. What happens is that when I cry, I'm getting this. This is what the notion that it builds. But the parents used to say, like, when the child asks for chocolate, they will, no chocolates, no chocolates. The child cries and you can't listen your child to cry and let the child eat chocolate. So what happens is that the child is actually thinking, oh, when I'm crying, I'm getting this, so I'm going to cry harder now. The next time the crying will be more. The child will cry more. So seeing whether the child is able to get that thing again. So when you can't, you will just let in, and it just keeps going for whatever things that they want. The first thing that they do is to cry. Even before asking, they will start crying, because they will feel like, if I'm asking anyway, my mom is not going to do it. Anyway, my dad is not going to do it. So I'm going to cry and I'll get it immediately. So this is a thing that we are teaching through this. So what we have to do is we have to hold on the boundaries. That's why we call this as validating the feelings. We tell, I can see that you really want to eat chocolate. You're very upset that you can't eat chocolate now. Even I want to give you a lot of chocolates. Even I want to eat a lot of chocolates, but this is dinner time. So we have dosa and chapati for dinner. Do you want to choose any of this? So when we are actually, what we did in this process is we are validating the feeling. You are upset because this is done. I can understand you. I can feel you, because I want to eat chocolates now. Even I am in your situation, but this is a dinner time. Dinner time means we have some food to eat. So we have two different foods here. So what we are doing here is giving them something to choose from, whether dosa or chapati. What do you want to eat for dinner? So when you are giving the child the choice to select, it actually open up their logical thinking, and it will actually subside the emotional brain, and the tantrums and all that will get reduced. Okay, there are times when the child keeps crying, lovingly holding the boundaries and connecting with the child, validating the feelings. Sometimes you just tell, I am here, once you are done, let me know. So depending on the situation, there are a lot of different situations. Depending on that, we have to react in that way. Okay, so staying calm during a tantrum or during the storm is that you have to feel yourself, you have to find yourself very calm. Only then you will be able to respond to the child. But how do you find your calm? Okay, by identifying your triggers, by managing your triggers, and to just pause for a moment and trying to respond rather than reacting. It all happens. It all is a process. It can't happen in a day. Nothing of this can happen in a day. Okay, we are all used to do something. Our mind is saying something else. Our heart is saying something else. We have to align all of this together, and we have to see the benefits, overall benefits, and then we have to do it. So it's all, nothing is going to happen in a way. But when you understand that, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is how I can do this to make it better. So when you know all of this, you will start implementing it one by one, and it is a process. Through the process, you will evolve, you will find ways, you will find better ways, you will learn, you actually unlearn a lot and learn a lot through the process. Okay, so, and the next one is like having a realistic expectations from the child. A child is a child. Okay, so you can't have a expectation that every day my child has to wake up happily, every day my child has to be very, very happy and not cry at all. So these kind of things are not at all a realistic expectation. We all have bad days, right? Even as adults, we all wake up some days very grumpy. While waking up itself, we will feel grumpy, and nothing might have caused that mood, but we all feel off that day, right? Similarly, children also have their bad days. So what we can do is just support them, connect with them instead of scolding, just connect with them. So having realistic expectations is also about the child is not eating this much bowl of food. It is not a realistic expectation. My child is not playing for hours, not sitting in an activity for more than 1 second. So it is also a realistic expectation. We should have this realistic expectation. We have to accept the fact that the child doesn't have attention. Okay, when people always talk about my child's attention span is very, very low. My child is not sitting at one place for even for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. My child is playing only for 5 minutes. I mean, I'd be like, 5 minutes is a huge thing. Okay, so whatever your child's age is, multiples of 2 is the 2 minutes is what your child's attention span. So suppose if you have a child of 1 year old, your child's attention span, which is average and healthy, is 2 minutes, not more than that. If your child is 2 years of age, the maximum attention span that the child be having is 4 minutes, not more than that. Okay, so that is a healthy thing scientifically. So expecting the child to sit and do an activity for half an hour, 1 hour is definitely not possible, and it is not realistic, and having this expectation might actually hurt you a lot, hurt your ego a lot. Okay, so having a realistic expectation is something that we have to work more on ourselves. And then the very important thing is taking care of ourselves. As a parent, we often forget to do this. Whether it's a father or a mother, whoever it is, we often forget to have our own self time. We often forget our couple time, right? So before the baby, life was very different. Now after the baby, all the priority and all the priorities going for our children, and we are putting them in as a priority because they really want our support until they grow up. So, but in meanwhile, we have to fill our emotional cup. Only then we will be able to pour from our cup to others. Okay, so only when you are feeling full, you will be able to pour it to others. What if you are feeling so drained out? Okay, sometimes people used to think like, I want to be very calm. I want to be very, very gentle with my child. I am trying my best to be gentle with my child. I am trying my best to be very calm during the tantrums and all that. But there are so many things that is going on in my mind. I am responding to my child. I am not reacting. I am stopping. But still, I am suppressing my own thoughts, my own reason for went out. I don't have anybody to tell my problems to. So what happens at the end of the day? Even though you are so gentle with your child, you're not being gentle with yourself. So what happens? It will affect you mentally and physically. Your health will be deteriorated and your mental peace will be killed, and that will slowly start affecting your behavior in the everyday life also. And someday you will just burst out into tears, burst out into anger, or both of them together. So it's always good if you can take some time for yourself, just half an hour a day or 5 minutes a day, doing whatever you want. For example, this particular session is kind of my me time in this weekend, for this weekend, okay, for this day. For Saturday, I have to be spending all my time with my family, cooking food, taking care of them, all of this. But this 1 hour is something that I am doing it because I like to do this. Okay, so this is kind of a self-care for me. I feel so happy. I feel so energetic when I'm doing things I love. That is where all my content creation for Instagram, YouTube, or whatever it is, whatever sessions that I take, all of this comes under my self time, because this is something that I really like. I really miss here as in family. I mean in a what to say, that single family, whatever it is. So in that, I miss this. I miss being working all the time. So I take every day 1 hour for my work. Okay, it may not be the same for everybody. Having a guilt-free time is what I would say. If you're watching a TV series for a half an hour without feeling any guilt, that is your self-care time. You can go to a spa, you can go for a walk, you can go for a shopping, you can just sit and relax, you can just look at your mobile, play mobile games, you can watch a series, you can watch a movie, you can draw, you can do whatever you want to do, you like to do from within, and it makes you not feeling guilty. And definitely self-care time doesn't mean that social media scrolling. Okay, it will never help you. It will only add up more guilt to your thing. So the next one is like a positive attention. So when we are talking about positive attention is something that you can give to your child very easily. Okay, but how you are giving that attention matters a lot. For example, whatever you say to the child is being heard by the child. And there is one saying which is my most favorite. They say like what you talk to your child becomes their inner voice. whatever you say, however you talk, is being observed in the child's brain, and that is what they are actually becoming their inner voice. So when you are talking with the child, when you are doing something with the child, however you are addressing the child's things, that is what becoming their inner voice. Okay, so use positive words, for example, acknowledging the child with praise. For example, if your child is doing something, okay, instead of just saying very good job, instead of saying being very plain, for example, if you're saying very good or good job for the first time, it's okay. What if the 10th time also you're saying very good job only? The effort is different for every time, right? But we are saying only very good or good job. So that doesn't make any sense. What if you can just get into the more details? For example, if the child is coloring and showing you, you're saying, oh wow, very good. And the next time they are coloring and showing you, you're saying, oh wow, very good. Third time, wow, very good. Fourth time, wow, very good. Now this wow, very good doesn't have any meaning to it. The first time the child will be very, very happy hearing you wow, very good. But the fifth time if you're saying the same wow, very good, the child is not going to feel happy. I am doing a lot of efforts here, mummy is saying only wow, very good. The child needs more. So what you can do, you can put in more. Oh, I can see that you have actually put in a lot of effort in making this. Can you explain me what you have drawn? So these kind of things actually not only just make the child feel worthy, and also it will make the child to think critical. So critical thinking is something that is very, very important in this generation, right? So the world is evolving. You can't just say it one thing, you have a template of things to do. No, you have to keep on updating yourself even now, and just imagine the future, how our children are going to be. So critical thinking is something very important, and it can be cultivated right from the early childhood itself. So by asking questions, open questions, like when your child is drawing something, and if they are asking you how it is, you can ask them back, like, what have you drawn? Can you explain me what have you drawn? It makes them think. Okay, and also it is giving a lot of positive attention. And when you're acknowledging, we are just not saying very good, but instead we are saying, oh, I can see that you have really drawn that big elephant in red color, which is very creative. You have done a lot of efforts. You have put in a lot of efforts in making that Play-Doh. Wow, that's amazing. You can use those words not just for things which they have done, but also for small things that they have been doing. For example, if I'm saying, okay, it's cleanup time, let's clean up the toys. If you are done with cleanup, after you're done with cleanup, you can acknowledge it and thanks for actually listening to me when I said it's time for cleanup. Thank you so much for listening. So when you start thanking, when you are giving the child to, ask their child to bring water, and if the child is bringing water, and you can acknowledge, just not just with thank you, but you can also thank you for helping me out for getting the tumbler. So those kind of acknowledgements in a very detailed way is actually making the child's little things feel worthy, and that is where the good behavior still gets to blossom. Okay, so and also how do you imitation. Okay, so the child is actually imitating you. Whatever you do is what the child is going to do. So how you can actually connect with the child is taking the reverse roles. Like for example, if a child is doing something, you can imitate it. Okay, when you start imitating the way the child does, the child feels so important. So suppose if a child is having a doll, and if they are making them sleep, just you pitch in and tell, can I also hold your baby like that, the way how you do? Can I also make the child to sleep the way you do? And ask for the consent. And when the child hands you, oh yeah, the children will definitely love to do it. And when they give them, and you will go, I am just patting the child just like you did. I really love the way how you actually pat your child, and I also want to do the same way. When you're doing small acknowledgements like this during your special time and all that, so the child feels that their actions have worth. Their actions have an effect on others. So in positive parenting, we always focus on the natural consequences. So if you are touching the sharp knife, you will get hurt. If you are touching the electric socket, the current will come and it will create shock. If you are spilling the water is going to be wasted, and we should definitely clean it up. So all of these are natural consequences. This will be communicated with facts in a very calm and connected way. Okay, so when we tell them the facts, they will definitely understand. Not during the storm. So suppose if you are just imagine if you are swimming and you're drowning, okay? If you're drowning, all that you want to do is to escape from that. You won't try to learn swimming when you are drowning, right? Similarly, when your child is in a storm, you can't stop them, you can't explain them with logical facts and all that. Nothing will work. If you are giving them explanations, facts during a tantrum, that's not going to work. But when your child is very calm in a normal way, if they are simply sitting and if you're having the communication now, that might help them to decide when they are doing it. So most of the times what happens in positive parenting, the negative behaviors are can be identified even before they happen, can be avoided even before they happen. So that is why positive parenting or positive communication or positive attention is not just during that problem situation, but it is the way of your life, the lifestyle itself. Only then the child will be able to apply those things during the time. Okay, for example, if you feel so stressed out, or if you feel so angry, okay, if you're feeling very angry, we all say that you do breathing exercises or do count from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1 to gain yourself. So this is neurological, okay, but you don't have that habit. And if you're very feeling so angry, if someone tells you to count from 10 to 1, 10 to 1, you will be more frustrated. You will be feeling like, hey, I am having a hard feeling and you're asking me to count from 10 to 1. Am I looking like to you? Like that they will ask, right? So what happens when you are in the extreme anger? These techniques won't work, right? But when you are practicing meditation or practicing a breathing exercise in your day-to-day life, just like a lifestyle, just like eating, if you are practicing a breathing exercises or calming exercises, when you are on the angry, when you go to that extreme, you yourself, your brain will immediately kick in and it will automatically help you to actually calm yourself down using the exercises that you do every day. Okay, so that similarly, the child also needs to practice or practice this throughout, so that the child, when they are having a problem, they know what to do. Okay, so and also the enjoyment process is very, very important. When you are doing something with your child, enjoy it to the full course. So that is what our traditional parenting lacks. Okay, so parents think that if I am giving too much of attention, or if I am giving too much of if I show my enjoyment, it may actually harm my child. This is one of the perspectives that the parents might be having, right? But no, it is not like that. The years of studies have actually proven the other way around. When you are giving your child positive attention, and when you are when you are showing your enjoyment to your child, it actually nurtures the child even more, and everything becomes so easy and breezy. Yeah, so let me also open up the chat box meanwhile. So basically, tantrums is something that is not at all avoidable. Okay, so tantrums happens. It is a developmental milestone. It happens right from 18 months. As I said earlier, a child who is in the middle of tantrum doesn't mean or doesn't judge your parenting. Don't judge your parenting style, or don't judge your child just because of the tantrum that the child is having right now. Okay, actually, tantrums are very healthy. They are healthy developmental milestones of the child. So don't think that, oh, my parenting is something different, my parenting is very has impacted in this way. Those kind of thoughts don't come. So every tantrum means that the child has something to communicate to you. And tantrums like this, like for getting a sweet or doing something for many times again and again and again, actually that they are you have to hold the boundary in a very positive way. Like you have to hold the boundary. You can give them choices. First, you, instead of saying no sweets, when you start with that, the child will, emotional brain starts kicking in more, and they will scream to the extreme. So what you can do is first validate the child's feeling. I see you are very upset. When you keep validating the child's feelings until they calm down, because when you start validating the child's feeling, the child will immediately, oh, my mom is listening to me, my mom is able to understand my problem. So only then they will listen, or only then they will calm down for a bit to see what you are actually saying. So next statement what you're going to say is matters a lot too. So you can say, this is dinner time, we can have it tomorrow, or even I want to do it, even I want to go, even I want to give you sweets. So those kind of things, like, give them more empowerment, and when you give them choices, that gives them more empowerment. So that emotional brain will shift to the emotional brain will shift to the logical brain, and they will start thinking. So it is just like two different parts of the brains, which is responsible for each of the activities. And when during the tantrum, the emotional brain is in the peak, this logical brain is not at all kicking in. So the emotional brain will be on the peak, and to calm down is not so easy. So that is why when you validate the feeling, the emotional brain will feel at least, okay, I am being heard. And the next time when you give choices, the child's logical brain will kick in, and there will be a balance. Okay, Shweta, so this is depending on the child's age also. Sometimes the children below 3 years doesn't have the habit, doesn't develop, playing independently. But you can actually, put small gaps. Like you can, once you are playing with the child for 10 minutes or 15 minutes without any distraction, without any outer thoughts, you completely immerse yourself when you're connecting. That's when the special time I talked about, right? So that will come into picture. So when you are 6 years, so you can actually tell the child. So when you are spending some time with the child, make sure that you are not being carried away with other thoughts or carried away with other distractions. You spend a very good quality time with the child. When you are going and spending that quality time with the child, you tell the child that, see, this is going to be our special time now. Okay, nobody is going to disturb us. I'm just keeping my mobile away. See, I have kept my mobile away. I have kept everybody away. It's only you and me time. So you can also use your child's name and your name and come up with a quirky name, and you can say like Shwede, something like name, you name it, and you call it the special time. So this 10 minutes we are going to play whatever you want to do. Okay, now you choose whatever you want to do. We can play, or we can just simply hug and dance, whatever. Okay, so whatever that you do that. After that, you will be telling him like, I am going to do this particular task. I'm going to do this. Okay. Meanwhile, you can either do this or do that. Whether you can color or you can help mommy in the kitchen. You can choose any of this and you can do that. Meanwhile, Amma will do this thing. So this will not be done in one day. So what you can do is, you are saying a 10 minutes means if your child already knows to see time, that's fine. Otherwise, you keep a visual reminder or an alarm clock kind of thing, and you can start doing work. The first thing that I told you, right, the special time, connection time is very important. So the child's emotional needs are filled, and then you're doing this. You're setting up an alarm or giving a visual clock or something for him to see, so that you also give him choices, like whether you can do this activity or color or read or whatever your child likes, or you want to do this. You can give him choices to choose from, and then you go and do it. Do it for a minimal time now, because you're just starting. Just do it for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then, as you said, come back. Oh, see, now I've just done with my work. I'm back here. Then now it's time for us to play. And then again, after some time, then you will tell, okay, Mama is going to do this now. Meanwhile, you can do this or do that. Do this again, and you can go. Okay. So when you are keep doing this for the initial days, you will be having breaks only 1 minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But it's not affecting your child's mental health, because the child is he's more dependent on you, and that is why he doesn't want to do this. But when you start implementing one by one, he will be able to understand that this is my time, this is my mom's time, etc. So it is a process. It will take some time, but having a connection with the child, the no distraction, quality connection time is very important. So the child will feel connected, and then you can start doing the other things. Because you are shifting, no, distraction doesn't always help, okay? So the child actually wants to open the birthday gift, okay? So you are distracting him. Distracting is different from giving choices. Okay, first you have to validate the child's feeling. Oh, I really see that you want to open the birthday baby's gifts. It seems like so much fun to open the baby gift. I can understand that, but see, that gift belongs to that child. It's not for us. Maybe when we get some gift, we can open that. First, you validate the feeling, and then you can give choices for food or cake. But simply saying, simply ignoring that child's feeling and telling them, see, there is a food we will eat, see, there is a cake we will eat. This will only distract the child for 1 second or 2 seconds, but their mind is still there. Okay, so first you validate the feeling. You validate, oh, you feel so upset. It's okay to feel upset because that's the child's gift. We can't take it. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the child. Maybe when we get a gift, we can open it. Like that, you first validate the child's feeling, and then you can give them choices. Instead of distracting, give them choices, whether you want to eat the cake or the food. Give them choices instead of saying food, cake. Critical thinking and creative thinking. Creative thinking is like a very it's like a normal thing, like a creativity. Okay, critical thinking is something that you will be able to analyze what's happening here. You have to think critically, and you have to behave. You have to do it spontaneously. So creativity is different from critical thinking. Creativity is all about doing something which you can't see. Doing something like writing a poetry. You are bringing things from your imagination. You are painting. You are reading a book. You are writing. Not reading a book. Sorry. You're writing a book. You are thinking about something which is not visually seen or visually available, but it is from your imagination. So that is what creative thinking all means. Critical thinking is about analyzing the situation and adapting to it, and immediately, spontaneously, you are able to do it. For example, just in this pandemic, right? Once the pandemic hits in, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people had to do something else, some other jobs because they lost it. So people who were critical thinkers were able to adapt to the situations very good, and they were able to innovatively think, and they were able to innovate things according to what is happening right now. So that is what critical thinking. Creative thinking is the base for critical thinking. But creative thinking alone wouldn't help critical thinking. So we need to put in a lot of open-ended questions to think about why it's happening, why it is happening. Children are naturally critical thinkers. You can't answer a 3-year-old. Okay? A 3-year-old will keep asking you questions that you're tired of hearing. They are critical thinkers already, but how are we going to encourage that? We have to focus on that. That's what, if you keep saying him don't do it, the child can't understand, or child doesn't know what to do. Okay, that's why if you say don't do it, the child don't have an answer what to do. So instead, say what you want the child to do. Okay, instead of saying don't pinch, don't hit kind of things, you can tell what your child has to do, what you want your child to do. You can tell your child, in this situation, you can tell your child, it's very painful if you're hurting me. I'm not able to tolerate it. Well, if you want my attention, or if you want me to do something, you can gently pat me like this and say, okay, do you want to try and see how to gently pat, just like this? Can you try it once and let's practice? So you can tell like that. So when you help the child what to do instead of what not to do, the child will focus on that. And also give them, like, you can gently pat me like this if you want to do something, or if you want something. Okay, and you can also teach your child simple words. At 18 months, you can ask the child, if you want, you can say, I want. Even though your child doesn't respond back, or even though if your child doesn't speak yet, you can keep saying, if you want that, you can, instead of pinching me, you can ask, I want. Or you can gently pat me like this. Do you want to practice how to gently pat? So this way you are giving your child how to do it. Okay. Yes, Pavani, the child won't listen to your words when they are crying. Okay, when they are crying, I have to shout or hit her. No, if you're shouting or hitting, that will make the situations worse. Okay, first you have to understand if you are in a very extreme emotional state, if somebody is giving you an option or suggest, that's why I told you that's the example. When you are very, very angry and if someone is telling you to count from 1 to 10, will you do it? You won't do it because you are feeling so hard. Okay, so somebody is telling you something, you won't do it. So those times either you just be calm and collect yourself, because the urge is for you to shout or hit. Okay, you have to collect yourself. And the first thing is, baby crying is not it might be a trigger to you. Baby crying might be a trigger to you because you might be feeling awkward in that situation. So maybe that's why you feel, I want to shout or hit her to stop her from doing this. But trust me, it won't help. Okay, so you have to be calm within yourself. You have to collect yourself from not shouting or yelling. So the very fundamental of the positive parenting is to treat the child the way how you want yourself to be treated. So suppose if you are angry in a crowd of people, who is 250 people are there, crowd, and you are feeling so angry or you're feeling something not good for yourself. What if your husband hits you or shout at you in front of the crowd? How do you feel? You will feel more, I don't want to label that feeling, but yeah, it doesn't feel right. The same thing applies for the baby also. When we start looking at our child the way how we want to be treated, our perspective in parenting will definitely change. Kishore Kumar, I think you should consult your pediatrician, and if your child is actually not is avoiding to going to public places, movie theaters, you have to consult your doctor. Your son is 26 years, is it, or 2.6? Sorry, 26 years is not a child, it's an adult, and they need a medical intervention or a clinical psychologist may help you. Kanmani, right brain education. Right brain education is a very, very vast topic that cannot be covered here. Please do follow me in Instagram or YouTube. It's already there, and there is another masterclass might be coming up in the next month for the next enrollment. So maybe you can join that. Okay, so inculcate sharing habits between siblings is by modeling. Don't force the child to share. Force the sharing is not caring. So giving the child space and respecting their developmental needs is also very important. Don't force the child. Instead of saying share, you can use other words like maybe you can use the siblings toys now while you guys exchange the toys. Those kind of small things might work. So people, the form is there, the feedback form is there, so please go there and whatever is your feedback, any constructive feedback is welcome, so go and fill that out. So I just want to mention something about the Dlearners. They are helping the children with learning disabilities. So basically, children might be having reading or spelling or writing difficulties, which might not be assessed or which might not be examined by people in schools or in normal home settings. Okay, we might be thinking my child is not learning properly, my child is not reading properly, my child is not scoring good marks in school. But what we do is we usually send the child to different tuition. Maybe we think that the school is not properly educating the child, so I will send the child to tuition, and then even then the child might not be able to pick it up, and we used to keep changing the tuitions. But there might be some children, I'm not very sure, but I think 1 in 10% have learning difficulties, some sort of learning difficulties. So Dlearners is a company where they actually give you free assessment for the learning difficulty to find out what kind of learning difficulty they have, or do they really have a learning difficulty that need to be examined and treated. So those assessments will that is a very, very costly option, especially in countries like India or even abroad, it is a very, very vast number of tests that you have to undergo and all that. But Dlearners has made that as very easy for anybody to do it. So if you feel that your child has a learning difficulty, you can do the assessment completely for free. And then based on the report, they will also give you a counseling session, and also they have all the tools which can actually help the child to learn better, to intervene the child's difficulty, to give them support on what is needed. That is also there. So they are also giving once the child is assessed with any learning difficulty, they are also giving a 14 days free demo on how the sessions is going to happen, how it is going to benefit the child. And the sessions after that also is at a very, very affordable cost. And Dlearners is something that is not very easily, the kind of things is not easily available to anybody. I'm so happy that Dlearners have come up with this, because there are a lot of children who might be having learning difficulties, but they don't know that they have such disability. So make use of this. If you have, or if you know somebody who is having a learning difficulty, get in touch with them, get the free assessment, so that you will know whether your child is having a learning difficulty or not, at least to get to understand that. And then based on that, you can take the next steps on forward.
Yeah, it was a very useful session, ma'am. Thank you so much for explaining the nuances of parenting, right brain, and patiently answering all the questions for us and for our parents. Once again, as we discussed already, we wanted you to join hands with us and conduct a lot of these webinars and help a lot of our parents. And we wish you all the best, and thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you on another session, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.